Yo, what's up guys? We are back in Pokemon Showdown for my draft analysis video for the PMC, not the D-League, because I won the D-League 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. You probably watched the finals if you're watching this video. And yeah, we start drafting basically the day I won the league, so even before my finals video went up. And we're 16 guys in the PMC in the now made it to the main roster. In the D-League I think we were 12, but I'm not sure. So we're 16 guys divided into two conferences. Pretty standard league, I would say, probably very close, very similar to the GBA, which most of you should know. And out of the 16 guys, I got the 16th pick in the draft, so that was kind of annoying, but obviously because I got the 16th pick in the first round, I got to pick first in the second round, and so I got the wheel pick, which can be annoying because you have to wait like 30 picks and really hope you don't get sniped, but you can always draft 2 months, see what your division rivals pick before you, and act accordingly and really have a good shot at picking a strong roster, in my opinion, even though it means the last pick in the first round and the last pick in the entire draft. But I think it was a very good draft for me. I tried to draft stuff that I'm used to. In the D-League I drafted a lot of mons that I haven't used before just because they were incredibly strong, like Hooper and Bound, for example. But I kind of went back to the roots with my draft. I used, I think, 9 or 10 out of my picks. I used them before in league, so I'm pretty familiar with them, and I'm really happy I got them. So let's hop right into it. With the first pick in the first round, obviously, so the 16th pick overall, I picked Mega Venusaur. I was really happy that this thing fell to me because, in my opinion, it's the best defensive mon in the format, and arguably top 3 or even the best Mega in the format. It's just a mon that you can switch it in on basically anything besides maybe Talonflame or Mega Alakazam and stuff like that, and it can take hits for days. It's barely 2-hit KO'd by neutral hitting moves like returns or fire type attacks, for example, if you invest correctly, just because of the thick fat ability, of course. And its defensive timing is just great. It allows it to really deal with knockoffs because of the Mega, of course. Allows it to deal with water types, which are always a threat in the format. Same with fairy typing, fighting stat. It can switch on earthquakes because of its phenomenal bulk, and just an overall very, very solid mon. And it's just, if you watched my draft analysis for the NPL, I said that I don't like my walls to be passive. I need walls that can sit there for days and dish out damage, so they don't become setup fodder. And I think Mega Venusaur definitely fits the mold. 122 special attack, like a Sludge Bomb does 40 to 50% to a lot of stuff that wants to set up, because most physical sweepers, for example Weavile or even Charizard forms, are pretty frail, so you can get 40 to 50% off and have a chance to poison with the Sludge Bomb and not become set up fodder versus the majority of the format. So Mega Venusaur definitely a mon that can switch into hundreds of threats, probably. For example, Azumarill, Clefable. It walls those mons for days. It even has a higher chance to hit KO on a native Zardex before it gets 2-hit KO'd by a Flare Blitz, which is pretty fun because Sludge Bomb uninvested does more than a native or even Adamant Flare Blitz does to him. So Mega Venusaur definitely a mon that can even sit in there in front of probable counters that want to set up on it, but stuff like Mega Zardex doesn't set up on Mega Venusaur if I invest enough bulk and enough special attack to it so that I can 2-hit KO it before it can 2-hit KO me back. So that's pretty nice, I think. Mega Venusaur was actually a mon that was on my first my team, which I first won a league with, so definitely an MVP back then, and I'm really hyped to have this mon again on the squad. I don't think there's a lot to say about it. Very solid move pool with like dual step and Giga Drain and Sludge Bomb, which is all what it needs most of the time. If you face Steel type, obviously you can put on something like Earthquake on HP Fire or something. Gets Leech Seed, Synthesis, Sleep Powder. Even gets Knock Off, which is pretty nice, and it's just a mon that can like really sit there, get Leech Seed recovery back, get Synthesis back, and just wall like stuff like Life of Mamoswine or even Belly Drum Azu for days and just beat them 1v1, even though that these mons are like two of the biggest threats in the format. So definitely a great pick here in the first round for me. Obviously I need to cover the flying and the psychic weakness, but even then it can take like at least one psychic from any psychic type. It can take Brave Birds from Talonflame, for example. So even that doesn't beat you in one hit. So definitely a great choice for a solid Water, Fire, Grass and solid defensive core going on. Next one I drafted, obviously I had the first pick in the second round, and I really didn't know what I wanted to pick, because there was stuff like Heatran, which synergizes tremendously well with Mega Venusaur. There was stuff like Rotom Wash, which I really liked as a partner. I kind of wanted Clefable too, but that's what got picked before I had the chance to. I think it even was franchised. Same with Mew, which I really liked, but that got picked a couple picks before me. So I decided to get a mon that deals with any psychic type Mega Venusaur doesn't want to deal with, and that's Reuniclus. A mon that I use in a lot of leagues already. Like I think I won 2 or 3 championships with it, and it's just so freaking versatile. It's like a really, really good mon in the format. It has like a very high HP stat, which makes it pretty bulky, especially if you go with Regenerator or Magic Guard, both very good defensive abilities. Either get health back or don't be worried about status or hazards. Very solid overall bulk because of the high HP. Very solid special attack stat, 125, like can be a very dangerous late game sweeper with the Life Orb and a Trick Room variant which abuses its very, very slow speed. A mon that with an Assault Vest and Regenerator can take hits for days. It's a Carmine sweeper. It has like a terrific move pool. It gets Energy Ball, it gets Focus Blast, Flash Cannon, Psychic, Grass Knot, Energy Ball, Psyshock, obviously Shadow Ball. Most of the time you only need like Shadow Ball and Psyshock, or maybe Focus Blast, Shadow Ball and Psyshock, and then like have Trick Room on there to like really sweep opposing teams. It gets Thunder if you want to go that route. You could even go physical, like an Element Element Focus Punch can, for example, Oko a Blissey if you want to go that route. But Blissey obviously is set up for Reuniclus anyway. So there's that. There's like a terrific support move with Toxic, Acid Armor, Thunder Wave, which is always nice. It has Trick Room, as I mentioned. It has Future Sight, which can be fun. It has Skill Swap if you like need to get rid of someone's ability. Gets Wonder Room if you like want to go really crazy. There's like a lot of real gems of moves, like even physical moves to hit. Even a Rock Tomb, you could use it for like Talonflame or whatever is for them weak to rock. It gets Psych Up if you face like a Calm Mind, Suicune or something. Iron Defense, of course, Infestation, Prison. There's like a lot of really fun moves to use. Definitely a mon that is really hard to prep for because you never know what it's gonna do. It even gets Knock Off if you want to get rid of items on an Assault Vest variant, because you don't really need 4 coverage moves most of the time. And it's definitely a mon that I can bring to almost any game, I would say, because it's just so versatile. It has bulk, it has offensive pressure, it gets recover, obviously. So I'm really happy I got it here. I wanted to gamble on it falling like to my next pick, but that would mean it has to fall like 30 picks, and I didn't really want to risk it because I really wanted to go with Reuniclus Reuniclus just because it's so good. And a lot of people told me that they were going to pick it like early or in the middle of the second round, so I don't think it was a way too early pick for me. It fills my tier 3 spot, or one of my 2 tier 3 spots, which is great for me, and definitely a mon that I can see me bringing it to 10 out of the 12 weeks easily. Yeah, hard special attacker, great synergy with Mega Venusaur, can do a lot of stuff. Solid overall book and great offensive pressure. One of the best psychic types in the format in my opinion. So next up, I didn't really want to pick Heatran here again because I didn't want to commit to a tier 1 mon that early in the draft, and there were a lot of good mons left, so I decided to get a tier 2 mon here, and that is Hydreigon. In my opinion, probably the best dragon in the format, even though it has like a lot of weaknesses with its typing. But offensively and defensively, and in form of how versatile it is, it's definitely right up there with stuff like Goodra or Dragonite or other dragons that you see getting picked early, for example Garchomp or stuff like that. Very solid synergy with Venusaur and Reuniclus, obviously because it takes like the dark and psychic types attacks with ease that hurt both of them. The fighting and fairy coverage obviously is covered by the weaknesses are covered by Venusaur and Reuniclus too, so very good synergy defensively and offensively too, because you have like the psychic step which hits a lot of stuff on Reuniclus, and then you have the dark step here too on Hydreigon, obviously Dragon step which doesn't have a lot of switch-ins. Basically the only thing that can really switch into Hydreigon on a regular basis are fairies, which are getting annihilated by my boy Bioshock here, by my Mega Venusaur, so very solid pick here in my opinion. Another mon that I didn't really want to gamble on to fall another round, so I was like, yeah, let's go with Hydreigon because it's pretty speedy, very solid speed here. Obviously doesn't hit the 100 base mark, but definitely enough that you can like scarf it or outspeed a lot of fat offensive mons, or even stuff like Crocodile or Damanitan, which otherwise would be a problem. Looking at the attacks, obviously you have the great special attack. You can drop Breakers and Dark Pulses all day because nothing really switches into it besides fairies. But for fairies you also get Flash Cannon, which you can hit them with, and 2 specs or Life of Flash Cannons should 2-hit KO most fairies, so they can't really even switch in. Even the physical attack set is pretty nice, so you could go like with a Crunch set or Outrage or something like that if you really want to, and like even Superpower if you want to like catch special walls that wanna come in on it off guard and like get a lot of offensive pressure and momentum back on your side with a surprising physical variant. Looking at the bulk, obviously Hydreigon, even though it does have a lot of weaknesses and that 4-time fairy weakness, its bulk is pretty solid. It switches in on like basically any water and fire type unless it packs the right coverage for it, and it's one of the few mons that can easily switch on to stuff like Volcanion or Megazord Y. If you invest special defensively, it can switch into Entei if you run like max HP and a lot of defense, and really roost off damage, get Toxics off, hit them with the Dark Pulse, or do whatever you want, because the support move pool is pretty darn nice. Gets Dragon Tail if you run a more defensive variant. Gets Reflect if you want to go with that. It gets Roar, even though Dragon Tail might be the preferred choice. Gets Tailwind Taunt if you want to go with a Stall Breaker variant. Thunder Wave Toxic, obviously. It gets U-Turn for momentum. Overall, a very, very good move pool. As you can see, it's like has Rain Dance, Sunny Days, stuff like that. If you want to go with a little more heat on your squad, get Steel Wing for physical coverage that hits fairies, and even Rock Tomb or Head Smash if you have to hit something like Volcarona harder, or Talonflame or stuff like that. So overall a very solid mon in my opinion, which can be run defensively and offensively as well, which I really like about Hydreigon, because most of the dragons like Dragon Knight or Zardex, most of the time you run them offensively because they get Dragon Dance and can really sweep through teams, but they also lack like a solid move pool for a defensive variant. Obviously Zardex gets Will-O-Wisp and Roost, which is pretty nice, but Dragon Knight only gets like Thunder Wave and Dragon Tail as defensive moves, obviously Roost too, but that doesn't really get the job done. And Hydreigon with Taunt, a very solid support move pool, solid coverage with its dual step. It can be like defensively more often than other dragons in the form, even more often than Garchomp, because Garchomp is easily taken advantage of with its 4x weakness to ice. And the good thing about the 4x weakness to fairy is that there is no HP fairy which an opponent can hit you with. So the only mons that can hit you with 4x effective coverage are fairies with stab like God of War or Azumarill, which I basically can deal with my Mega Venusaur. So really happy that I got it here late in the 3rd round, and overall a very good pick that I'm really happy with. So looking at my team, I go with a more defensive squad as of now, even though Hydreigon and Rhinoculus obviously can be strong wall breakers or sweepers late game with like Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, Trick Room, Rhinoculus, stuff like that. So nothing too stally here in my opinion. But next up I decided to draft a more defensive mon again, just because it pairs so well with Mega Venusaur, and that is Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is one of those mons that doesn't do a lot of different stuff, because most of the time it goes like Will-O-Wisp, Volt Switch, Hydro Pump, and then like Pain Split, Rest, Thunder Wave, maybe Thunderbolt, Discharge. But it's a mon that is so good at what it does. It gives you the slow Volt Switch with the base 86 speed, gives you solid offensive presence with 105 special attack and strong Hydro Pumps, and really can take a lot of hits that aren't super effective. And its only weakness is obviously a Mold Breaker, Earthquake, or Grass coverage, which isn't that good offensively, which is easily covered by the rest of my mods. So Rotom Wash and Venusaur is definitely a very, very good defensive core here for me, especially when you have stuff like Hydreigon and Rhinoculus 2. Now I have both of the weaknesses of Mega Venusaur covered. I have every weakness of Rhinoculus covered, and I have most of the weaknesses of Hydreigon covered. So that's pretty nice. Great synergy defensively for my squad. And Rotom Wash definitely a mon that can come to so many games. I said it in an earlier video, I think, in my NPL draft analysis, that Rotom Wash is one of the few tier 1 mons, tier 2 mons that I would draft early in the first round, like even number 1 overall, if you like really want to go with a mon that is very consistent, that gives you good bulk, and a mon that you can bring to every game. That Rotom Wash definitely fits that mold. So that's my first 4 rounds, and here again I had to wait 30 more picks until it was my turn again. So a lot of stuff got sniped, and tier 1 really got a little bit, like, a lot of stuff got picked from tier 1. There wasn't really that much left. There was Heatran left, but I really decided I want some more speed, but I want a fighting type, a fire type, and a stealth rocker. So Heatran, while it would have been great with Rotom Wash and Venusaur, wasn't my number 1 choice. So I decided to pick Infernip, and Infernip is another mon that really excels in the format more than in standard small one play, just because of its insane coverage, its very diverse stat distribution with like 104 attack and special attack, a great speed here with 108, which allows it to outspeed the majority of the meta game, and even okay bulk. One of the few things that wall Weavile, for example, and like take ice coverage on more easily, which I don't rely on Rotom too much to take ice type moves, so Inferno could even deal with that. Has access to 2 forms of priority in Vacuum Wave and Mark Punch. Fake Out obviously too, but I don't really like Fake Out on Inferno unless I go with Focus Sash, Lead, Inferno or something like that. But overall a great move build with Close Combat for Stab, Earthquake, Flare Blitz, Fire Punch, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, sorry, Focus Blast, Grass Knot into those water types, Gunk Shot for Fairies, Nasty Plot and Sword Stance to set up, Poison Jab for Fairies too. It gets Slack Off if I want to go with a defensive variant, for example if I have to face a Weavile or something. Rocks that obviously for stuff like Zard Y. When I picked Inferno, I knew that both Zards, Zard X and Zard Y, would be in my division, so I really wanted a mon that outspeeds both of them, even the +1 Zard X if I go with Choice Scarf Inferno, and that can deal massive damage to them. Earthquake does like 75% to Zard X, and Zard Y is easily overcooked by Rock Slide or a Stone Edge, so it gives me like a backup check to both Charizard forms. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to say about Inferno. It just excels in the form because it gets U-turn 2 for momentum, Will-O-Wisp if you go defensively, and it's just a mon that can fit on so many teams and used in many different roles, like defensively, offensively, as a lead, as a late game sweeper, as a scarfer, as a bandit, wall breaker. It's just a mon that can come to a lot of games and put in the work for you. So I definitely didn't expect it to last to fall to round 5, but it happened, so I kind of had to snag it up because it's so good. When we started the draft, it really wasn't on my shortlist for tier 1s, but I rather would have drafted Conkeldurr, to be honest, which I think went undrafted, but at this point I needed some speed. I wanted that Water Fire Grass Core, and I wanted something that can at least check the Zard forms that I have to face in my division. So a very easy choice here, and one of the better mons in the form, in my opinion. Probably the best fighting type that isn't Nagaloppa. Next up, because I got the wheel, I got the first pick in the 6th round, and I drafted Mandibuzz. I didn't have a Defogger yet, and I didn't really want to draft Crobat, which was still on the board, I'm pretty sure. So I went with Mandibuzz, a very reliable, in my opinion, Defogger, even though it's weak to rocks, but great overall build. Very solid typing with Dark and Flying, even though I already have a Dark type in Hydreigon. But one of these mons that can be such a nuisance to deal with. If you go with Foul Play on it, it doesn't even become setup fodder, even though it can be kind of passive with base 65 or 55 attacks. But with Foul Play, it basically OHKOs Zard X at +1 and can easily take Adamant +1 Flare Blitz. I'm pretty sure it even takes one after Rocks, but I have to run the calc for that. Yeah, Mandibuzz doesn't have like the best move pool in the world. Gets U-turn, Knockoff, Tailwind, Roost, Taunt, like a very good support move pool. Toxic, obviously, but most of the time you know what Mandibuzz is gonna do. But I don't think I will bring Mandibuzz to that many games because my team isn't that weak to hazards, and I don't really have to worry that much about rocks with my squad. Like Reuniclus is immune to it, and nothing like is weak to it besides Mandibuzz. And Mandibuzz, even at like 75% when it comes in, is a solid defog that can take most hits and defog rocks away if I have to. So definitely a mon that can put in a lot of work and be hard to deal with, be hard to kill. Even gets Whirlwind to face stuff like Carmine, Sweepers out, which it struggles against. Gets Knockoff, obviously. Stab Knockoff is always nice to have in the format. Punishment if someone wants to set up on me. but that's like not really an option. Yeah, again, not the best move pool in the world, but definitely a mon that can tank a lot of hits and is a very reliable defogger. Also has a solid ability in overcoat or weak armor, which both have their niche, but overcoat obviously helps versus sandstorm teams or as a counter to Among Us that likes to spore stuff. So definitely a mon that can counter a lot of stuff, especially like grass types or like dark types, for example, like Crocodile, because the Stone Edge doesn't do that much unless it's like Bandit or Life Up. So a mon that won't come to every game, but a mon that can put in the work versus certain matchups, I would say. So for my first 6 picks, I think that's really solid. Obviously, I still lack some speed and some more offensive pressure, even though Renucleus, Hydreigon, and Inferno do a solid job, but I still can get some more offensive stuff in my roster, even though I don't believe you need that much speed and offensive pressure to win league games. So let's head to round 7, and in round 7, as you see, I picked Rhyperior, another stealth rocker, because I only have Infernape as my rocker at that point, but very reliable at what it does, like setting up rocks and fire off great coverage moves, and Earthquake and Stone Edge. Edgequake is terrific stat for that thing. Great ability in Solid Rock that like allows it to take super effective hits better, so it doesn't even get outcoached by HP grasses or HP waters. Not the best typing in the world, obviously, but with Solid Rock, high HP stat and right investment, you can take even super effective hits with ease. Yeah, Rhyperior gives me another check to Zardex, which I think is very underrated in the form because it can sweep so easily versus like a lot of teams that aren't like that well prepared for it. So I wanted another backup check besides like Mandibuzz and Infernape, which could like revenge kill it, but besides that I'm pretty weak to both Zards, and Rhyperior can deal with them eventually. So Rhyperior, well, it is mostly defensive. You'll see that 140 attack stat, so even if you don't invest, you have like a very high attack stat, like base 95 or something, which equals base 95 with max HP, max attack investment. And it's just with Sword Stance and Rock Polish, it can be a very, very dangerous late game sweeper, because if you go like jolly with this thing, you outspeed even base 130 mons like Crobat or something like that. So at +2, you can basically outspeed anything besides Scarfers and like sweep games, not revenge card stuff, but sweep games. And Rhyperior also sets up on a lot of stuff, because obviously its typing allows it to take, and obviously the Great Bull allows it to take every physical hit. It can set up on stuff like a choice locked Weavile into like knockoff or something like that, or even on Mamoswine if it isn't live orb or something, because then again an Icicle Crash doesn't kill you, and you can set up a Rock Polish on SD and then revenge kill with ease. So definitely a mon that sets up on most of the physical attackers in the format and can sweep late in the game. So it's not always gonna be a rocker for me. Has enough coverage to sweep any sort of teams, because nothing really resists Edgequake. But even then, you can go with like Fire Punch or Ice Punch as a third coverage move and just run Rock Polish for setup. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot left to say. Obviously, it has solid support move pool and Roar and Toxic and stuff like that, but most of the time it's probably Earthquake, Stone Edge or Rock Blast, Stealth Rock, and a coverage move, Toxic or Roar. But then again, you could go with stuff like Metal Burst, which can catch stuff off guard. Same with Counter. You have Natural Gift if you really want to hit some certain things with it. Has Rock Wrecker if you go with like elite custard berry Rapira and want to get a big hit off before you die and after you set up rocks. And also gets Thief after you get knocked out, for example, or if you use a berry or something, you can steal items from different stuff. And yeah, overall, just both offensively and defensively, a very solid mon. Only thing it really doesn't enjoy is too much damage, because Rapira is pretty dependent on his leftovers to get HP back, because it doesn't get any coverage besides rest. So that's not the best thing in the world, but overall a very solid pick here in the 7th round for me. Also gives me that electric immunity, which is always nice to have, because you don't want to get like volt switched around on, or U-turn around on, so Rapira stops the volt switch at least. Next up I picked another defensive mon, because at this point I knew I was getting another tier 1 mon, and there were a lot of offensive tier 1 ones left, which also had some speed, so I knew I would get a speedy offensive mon later in the draft, and decided to go with one of the best tier 5 ones in the format in my opinion, and that is Miltank. Miltank obviously gives me another rocker, another very solid physical wall with 95 HP and 105 defense. It gives me a cleric because it has heal bell. It obviously has very good abilities in thick fat, which allows it to wall stuff like Victini or Mamoswine, unless they run fighting coverage. It has Scrappy if you want to hit ghost types. It has Sip Sipper, which makes it a hard counter to stuff like Among Us or something like that, and really very versatile when it comes to switching in on stuff and taking hits. Miltank can be kind of passive because it doesn't get Raw or Whirlwind, and it doesn't get Dragon Tail, so you can set up on it and don't get phased out. And it has only an 80 attack, but then again you could run like an Adamant Nature, or at least some investment to do solid damage to mons that want to set up on it. For example, you could run Ice Punch if you face a Garchomp or a Salamence. So that could work out. It also gets Seismic Toss, so you get a clean like 30% off on most of offensive mons, because nothing really has like more than 170 HP if you're a defensive mons, an offensive mon. So Seismic Toss is pretty reliable damage. Has a very solid support move pool, and the heal bell, obviously, the Thunder Wave, the Toxic. It gets Curse if you want to set up, it gets Counter. Overall a very solid mon. Also another mon that gets Natural Gift. You could go with Punishment or Psyker versus setup sweepers. It gets Rock Tomb and Rock Slide, I'm pretty sure, to like handle stuff like the Zards I'm gonna face. There's Whirlpool if you want to trap stuff, so that could be helpful. And yeah, just another mon that really can take hits, set up stealth rocks reliably, and spread status around with Thunder Wave or Toxic. So that's a mon that most people don't like to face. It's just like Mandibus, it's a very solid user of the Rocky Helmet item to get like 16% off on whatever wants to touch it, which can really put like Zard X or something in range for an Earthquake from one of my attackers, especially the next one I pick, which we will see in a minute. And yeah, it's solid overall book, and good supportive pool was too good to pass up for me, because I didn't really like too many tier 5 mods, and I think Miltank is definitely one of the best you can draft in the format. So it even has decent speed at base 100, so slower physical attackers have to invest a lot of speed to even outspeed it, so that they can beat it 1v1. So yeah, really happy I got Miltank here. Next up, I finally got some more offense. Even though it doesn't have the best offensive stat, it has tremendous speed and a great ability that allows me to really get momentum and offensive pressure on my side. And that one is Duck Trio. Arena Trap allows it to trap anything besides opposing Arena Trap users, ghost types or flying types, or levitators. So it basically can come in on any electric type like Raikou, Magneton, Magnezone, Jolteon, Manectric. It can come in on Volt Switches from these and just trap them, outspeed them, and kill them with the Earthquake. Basic 80 attack obviously isn't that great. Doesn't really hit hard. It doesn't even kill Megazord X, for example. But it just puts a lot of stuff in range to be revenge killed, or put it in range of Stealth Rocks, for example. And it just can deal with all these electric types, these fast and frail electric types, for example, Heliolisk, 2, Jolteon, Manectric, as I said. It outspeeds most of them. You could run Choice Scarf if you do not speed Jolteon, for example, and it just traps them. It even traps steel types like regular Metagross, Registeel, and can get a big hits on it. So Dugtrio is a mon that it isn't really that good because it's frail as fuck. Doesn't have great attack, only has good speed, but it makes it so hard to prep for my team because you have to decide, do I want to bring Mon X or Y because it gets trapped by Dugtrio? Do I want to run a Shed Shell on that, which could make a lot of mons useless or not as threatening? For example, like Jolteon doesn't hit hard without a Life Orb or a Specs, so if it runs Shed Shell, it gives me an instant advantage because it's basically a waste of an item slot if I don't bring Dugtrio. Probably not a mon that you will bring every week, but a mon that will affect every opposing prep. Like, as long as you have like a grounded fire type, a steel type, an electric type, you have to decide if you really want to bring it versus me, because Dugtrio is a thing. It also gets rid of some some spinners, for example, that beats 1v1 like Fortress or something, if I really want to keep my rocks up, which it can beat 1v1, 1v1, sorry. Has an okay move pool with Earthquake and Stone Edge. Obviously it has Reversal if you come down to a Focus Sash. It also has Memento, which can come in really handy if I want to set up a sweep with one of my other mons. Has Dark Coverage, which can be helpful, Ghost Coverage. It gets Toxic if you want to get one of it. A Sucker Punch for priority. It's just a mon that can really give you an advantage when it comes to prepping for the team. If you know the other guy has 2 electric types that are instantly trapped to Dugtrio, you can be pretty sure that he either won't bring them or runs a Shed Shell on them, which obviously makes it easier for you to handle them because it's not that great of an item unless you face a Dugtrio. Definitely a mon that I'm looking forward to use because it really destroys opposing preparations, and my next pick will help with that. So I think my pain really, with all the bulk and now with Dugtrio, it really becomes a pain to prep for, and that is something I really like because I want to make sure that nobody has an easy way to beat me and prep for me. So Dugtrio really will help with that. Also with my next pick, another tier 5 one I picked in the second to last round of the draft, which will basically prevent everyone from setting up on me if I bring it, and that is Ditto. As I said, I don't want to be too weak to the Zards, and Ditto can switch into both of them with a Choice Scarf or something. It basically copies any status move and stat an opponent has besides the HP stat, so I always will run max HP obviously. And it just comes in on setup mons, revenge kill them with their own attacks, Sandrush Excadrill, for example. If I run a Choice Scarf, I outspeed it, kill it with the Earthquake. +1 Zada X dies to my Scarf, Ditto, Outrage, and just a mon that, just like Dugtrio, is so hard to prep for because it really prevents my opponent from bringing not Hazard, but setup versus me. Nothing really to say about Ditto here because it always is like scarfed or sashed, and lets you scout for opposing sets, which also is pretty nice because it gives you an instant advantage. If you like lead with Ditto, you already know an entire set on your opposing team, so they have to really play around Ditto to not like reveal their strategies too early. And like as I said, Ditto is just a pain to prep for, and I'm really happy I got it and I don't have to face it, because transform like imposter Ditto is such a nuisance to deal with, because like stops any opposing setup unless like people are dumb and want to set up and get swept by Ditto, but I doubt that will happen in this league. So that's my 10th pick. Only one pick is left, and there weren't too many mons left in tier 1, but there was one mon that I'm like typing wise I don't really need it, but coverage wise, speed wise, and versatility wise I couldn't pass it up, and that is Thunderous Incarnate. Thunderous obviously is electric flying, doesn't have like good flying stat besides HP flying, but you don't really need it that often. Has great abilities, and Prankster and Defiant can switch in on Defox to get an attack boost, which could come in handy if I run a physical variant, which is definitely possible with 115 base attack. And obviously it gets Prankster. Prankster T-Wave, Prankster Taunt can be pretty annoying versus a lot of teams, because I can T-Wave even +6 Mega Zardex and can make it useless. I can get off Prankster Substitute, Prankster Nasty Plot, Prankster Agility. Has a lot of ways to set up. Great coverage with like Thunderbolt, Superpower, Sludge Wave, Sludge Bomb, Psychic, Knock Off, Grass Knot, Foul Play, Focus Blast. It gets basically any coverage in the game besides Fire Ice, which can always go like with Hidden Power. It has Fly if you wanna go with a physical variant to like surprise Among Us on the Switch or something like that. And just has an overall very solid move pool, because you can easily, with great 111 speed, you can easily just go with max special attack, Nasty Plot, and then like sweep teams if they don't bring a Scarfer, because Thunderous naturally outspeeds the majority of the format. Like there aren't a lot of mons that are faster, and Cold Back, for example. Talonflame is faster, Crobat is faster, but they don't really do much versus it. Obviously there's stuff like Weavile or something, which can easily kill it with an Ice Shard or something, but overall its speed is pretty great versus like 80 or 90% of the format. Yeah, Thunder is definitely a mon that can come to like most of the weeks. I really expect me to bring like Thunderous, Mega Venusaur, and Reuniclus at least 8 out of 12 weeks, or even 10 out of 12 weeks, with like the other mons coming like at least 4 or 5 times each. Like even stuff like Miltank, which doesn't wall that much different stuff than Mega Venusaur. I think it will come a lot of the times, because it can be pretty annoying to deal with. Yeah, and Thunder gives me, besides Infernape, another speedy mon that can set up and sweep late game, and definitely a very solid offensive threat, because it has very good physical and special attack and great speed. Bulk is also solid on that thing, so I could run a defensive variant with like a Citrus Berry or Leftovers if I really want to go that route. Gives me another Volt Switcher for momentum, and like my U-turn and Volt Switch go with Rotom, Hydreigon, and Infernape, as well as Thunderous. Really helps me to get in stuff like Duck Trio or my Mega Venusaur to get a Synthesis off, for example, and Duck Trio of course to trap stuff, to get in Ditto to scout for sets, and like I think my team overall really synergizes well with one another. So I'm very hyped I was able to draft this team, because it doesn't really show that I got the last pick in the draft, because I got so many good mons in rounds that I didn't really expect them to be. For example, Infernape or Mega Venusaur, or even Rotom Wash I got in the 4th round, which is hilarious. I got Thunderous in the 11th round, which is pretty dumb. Ditto is always a mon that can can be drafted in like round 7 or 6. Rhyperior often goes in like an earlier round, but I kind of was able to draft a very solid, very bulky and very versatile team here, and I'm really hyped to use it in the PMC. When this video go up, it probably will be on like the 13th or 14th of August, and week 1 will start on that weekend. So 1 week after draft analysis will go up, my first battle and team builder will go up. So probably expect the battle to be on August 21 or 20. Not sure about the date right now, but I think that will be the time when the PMC starts. I already prepped for week 1, so I already got to use some of these mons, or like at least prep with them, and it's a really fun team to prep with, because most of these mons can be like really versatile, and all of these mons synergize so well with each other defensively and offensively, and can be a nuisance to prep for. So I won't be like worried about any matchup at all, I'm pretty sure. So definitely hyped to use this team. Let me know in the comments what you think about the squad: Mega Venusaur, Reuniclus, Hydreigon, Rotom Walsh, Infernape, Mandibuzz, Rhyperior, Miltank, Dugtrio, Ditto, and Thundurus Incarnate. In my opinion, it's one of the best drafts in the entire PMC, but that's up to the analysts to decide when they do a power ranking. But I think it's definitely up there, like at least a top 5 draft out of the top 16, which I already saw. Like, I'm really happy with the team. Very bulky, not the fastest obviously, but with like Prankster, Thunderwave, and stuff like Tailwind, or just like Trick Room or Reuniclus, or even Choice Scarfs. It outspeeds a lot of stuff. Obviously, I have priority on a lot of mons, like Rotom gets Sucker Punch, Infernape gets priority, so does like Thundurus with Prankster, Dugtrio gets Sucker Punch, so I'm not too weak to fast attackers, and definitely will be able to slow them down, I'm pretty sure, and get like speed control in my favor. So yeah, that's it for the PMC draft analysis. Let's support Crobats for PMC Season 2. Hopefully we will get another championship after winning the D-League. Would be nice to come in and go to the finals directly after winning the league a couple weeks back. And yeah, I definitely expect me to do well with this team, because it really suits my playstyle. So definitely leave a like and let me know in the comments what you think about the squad. See ya.